The old wooden door creaked as Daniel pushed it open. The evening air outside was cold, and the silence of his street made the moment heavier than he expected. He had been away from home for 2 months, traveling for work, and he longed for the comfort of his own bed. He breathed out slowly and whispered to himself, "Finally home." The house looked the same as he remembered. The living room lights were off, the curtains drawn, and dust had begun to gather in corners. He pulled his bag inside, shut the door, and locked it. For the first few minutes, everything felt normal. He dropped his coat on the chair, stretched his arms, and enjoyed the quiet. But then a faint sound reached his ears. It was soft, like a whisper coming from upstairs. Daniel froze. He told himself it was nothing, maybe the wind or the wooden roof adjusting after a hot day. Houses often made noises when left empty, he thought. Still, the sound seemed different. It was too deliberate, almost like someone breathing. He shook his head and tried to ignore it. He unpacked his things and turned on the kitchen light, but when he reached for a glass of water, he noticed something strange. The glass was already out on the counter. He was sure he had washed all dishes before leaving 2 months ago. "Strange," he muttered, touching the rim of the glass. It was clean, too clean. Daniel tried to laugh at himself. Maybe he had left it by mistake. Maybe he had forgotten. Still, something about the glass made his stomach tighten. As night fell, Daniel sat in his living room sipping tea. He turned on the television, hoping sound would chase away the eerie feeling. But as he flipped through channels, the noise upstairs returned. This time it was clearer. Footsteps. His heart pounded. Someone was in the house. He set his cup down carefully and reached for the heavy umbrella by the door. It was not much, but it could serve as a weapon if needed. He walked up the stairs slowly, each step creaking under his weight. When he reached the top, he listened. The sound had stopped. The hallway stretched out before him, doors on either side. The door to his guest room stood slightly open. He remembered closing all doors before his trip. His chest tightened as he pushed it open with the umbrella. The room was dark. He flipped the switch, and the light filled the space. It looked normal. The bed was neat, the window closed. He was about to leave when he noticed the closet door was open a crack. Daniel swallowed hard. He pulled the door wide and gasped. Nothing. Just clothes hanging, shoes neatly lined. He let out a shaky laugh. "I'm imagining things," he whispered. "Too much travel, too little sleep." But then something brushed past the edge of his vision. A shadow, quick and silent, slipped across the hallway. He spun around. The hallway was empty, but he was sure he had seen movement. His pulse raced. "Who's there?" he called. No answer. For a long moment he stood in silence, gripping the umbrella. Then, shaking his head, he walked back downstairs. He locked all doors and windows, checked them twice, and finally convinced himself it was only his mind playing tricks. He curled up on the couch, too uneasy to sleep in his bedroom, and told himself everything would be fine in the morning. The next day, Daniel tried to ignore the events. He spent the morning cleaning, dusting furniture, and airing out rooms. Yet, the odd details kept appearing. The bathroom mirror had been wiped clean, though he hadn't touched it. A fresh towel lay folded neatly, one he didn't remember leaving. In the fridge, food he had not bought waited on the shelf. Fruits, bread, even a carton of milk. Daniel stood staring at the fridge in disbelief. Someone had been living in his house. But how? He checked the locks again. None were broken. The windows had no signs of forced entry. Whoever it was, they had come and gone with ease. By afternoon, Daniel's nerves had grown thin. He sat at the dining table, tapping his fingers against the wood, thinking about calling the police. But something stopped him. If he called, what would he even say? "Excuse me, officer, but I think my house is haunted by someone who does my shopping." It sounded ridiculous. Instead, he decided to set a trap. That evening, before going to bed, he placed a mug on the edge of the kitchen counter, balanced just enough so that if anyone touched it, it would fall. He also sprinkled flour near the back door to catch footprints. Satisfied, he turned off the lights and lay on the couch again, pretending to sleep. Hours passed. The house was quiet. Daniel's eyes grew heavy, and soon he drifted into light, sleep, then crash. The mug hit the floor. Daniel jumped up, grabbed the umbrella, and ran to the kitchen. His breath caught in his throat. There, standing in the dim light of the moon through the window, were two figures. They were tall, slim, and graceful. Their skin seemed faintly luminous, reflecting the pale light. Their eyes glowed softly, almost like stars in water. One of them turned her head quickly, too smoothly, as if her body did not move like a human's. Daniel's legs went weak. The figures were women, but not ordinary women. What? Who are you? Daniel stammered, holding the umbrella and shaking. Hands. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They looked at each other as if deciding what to do. Then the taller one stepped forward. Her voice was calm, smooth, and strange. Do not be afraid. We mean you no harm. Daniel's grip on the umbrella tightened. No harm? You've been living in my house. The second woman tilted her head, eyes glowing faintly brighter. We had no choice. We needed shelter. Your house was empty. Daniel's mind spun. Empty? It was his house. Who were they? How had they entered? He took a step back, heart racing. What are you? He whispered. Silence. Then, the taller one answered, her words clear, but heavy with meaning. We are not from your world. Daniel felt his chest tighten. The umbrella slipped slightly in his sweaty hands. He wanted to laugh, to call it a joke, but deep inside he knew it was true. No human could have eyes like that. No human could move with such quiet precision. The room felt colder. Two alien women were standing in his kitchen. Daniel's heart pounded as he faced the two women in his kitchen. The moonlight painted their faces with silver glow, and their eyes reflected the light like clear water catching stars. He gripped the umbrella tighter, though he knew it was useless. His voice came out shaky. You're aliens? The taller one nodded slowly. Yes, but we are not enemies. Daniel blinked hard, hoping he was dreaming, but the figures before him stayed. Their movements were too smooth, too precise, and their calm gazes held no fear, only watchfulness. The shorter woman spoke next, her voice softer. We needed shelter. We found your house empty. We thought we could hide here for a short time. Daniel's head spun. Hide? From who? Why here? The taller one's eyes narrowed slightly as if measuring his reaction. We cannot tell you everything. Not yet. But believe us, we chose your home because it was safe. No one came here. You were gone for many days. We thought we would not be discovered. Daniel let out a nervous laugh. Well, you were wrong. I live here. This is my house. The shorter woman lowered her head almost in shame. We did not mean to disrespect you. We will leave if you wish. Daniel hesitated. His fear clashed with curiosity. Two aliens standing in his kitchen offering to leave. Part of him wanted to shout and order them out immediately. Another part, the stronger part, burned with questions. Wait, he said firmly. Before you go anywhere, explain. Who are you? What do you want from me? The taller one exchanged a glance with the other, then turned back to him. My name is Lyra. This is Sela. We are travelers from far away. Our vessel was damaged. We fell near this place. Daniel's eyes widened. A spaceship? You crashed? Lyra nodded. Yes. We could not repair it fully. We needed time and safety. Your house gave us both. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. His body still trembled, but now the fear mixed with wonder. Aliens. Real aliens. Not in a movie, not in a story. In his kitchen. Sela stepped forward slightly, her glowing eyes soft. We are not dangerous. We only want to survive. If others find us, they will take us, study us, use us. We cannot allow that. Daniel's throat tightened. He thought of his world. Governments, scientists, armies. If these two were caught, they would not be treated kindly. He believed that. But still, this was his home. Daniel crossed his arms, trying to look strong even though his knees were weak. So you've been living here while I was gone, eating my food, using my things. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Sela lowered her gaze again. We tried to replace what we used. We bought food. We kept the place clean. We did not wish to harm you. Daniel blinked in surprise. Bought food? With what? You don't exactly look like you carry cash. For the first time, a faint smile touched Lyra's lips. We found a way. We can learn quickly. Your world's trade system is simple enough once observed. Daniel shook his head. This is insane. He walked to the table and sat heavily, pressing, his palms against his forehead. His mind raced. 2 alien women living in his house. He wanted to demand answers, but at the same time he feared what those answers might be. Finally, he looked up. If what you're saying is true, then what do you plan to do now? You can't just keep hiding here forever. Lyra's voice grew, firmer. We will fix our vessel. It is hidden, but it needs repair. We are close, but we lack some things. We hope to finish before anyone found us. Daniel leaned back in his chair, staring at them. So what happens to me? You expect me to just go along with this? Sela's eyes met his, glowing faintly brighter. We hope you will allow us to stay. Just for a short time more. Please. Daniel opened his mouth to refuse, but something in her expression stopped him. It was not just fear, it was trust. She was showing him weakness, something she did not have to show. He sighed deeply. This is crazy, but fine, you can stay, for now, but there will be rules. Both women straightened, listening carefully. First, Daniel continued, no more sneaking around at night. If you're here, I want to know where you are. Second, no using my things without telling me. Third, if anyone else comes by, you hide. Understand? They both nodded quickly. Good, Daniel muttered. Because if anyone finds out about this, we'll all be in trouble. The next few days passed like a dream. Daniel still woke each morning wondering if it had all been his imagination, but every time he stepped into the kitchen, Lyra and Sela were there. They moved quietly, gracefully, sometimes speaking in their own soft language when they thought he wasn't listening. Slowly, Daniel learned more about them. Lyra was calm, serious, always watching, always thinking ahead. Sela was gentler, more curious, asking Daniel questions about Earth, about humans, about small things like why people planted flowers or painted houses different colors. Daniel found himself answering, even when the questions sounded odd. Humans like to make things beautiful, he explained once as Sela pointed at a flower vase. Beauty, she repeated softly, as if testing the word on her tongue. Bit by bit, his fear faded, replaced by fascination. They showed him glimpses of small devices they carried, tools unlike anything he had seen, glowing softly with blue light. They never explained them fully, but he could see they were advanced, far beyond human technology. At night, Daniel sometimes sat with them listening as they described their world. They spoke of tall silver cities that touched the skies, of oceans deeper and clearer than any on Earth, of skies with 2 suns that painted the land in golden light. But they also spoke of war, of the dangers that had forced them to travel across space. Their voices grew quiet when speaking of it, and Daniel did not push them to share more. One evening, as rain tapped against the windows, Daniel asked the question that had weighed on his mind since the first night. Why me? Out of all the houses, why mine? Lyra looked at him steadily. Because your house was empty, but also because we felt it. You live alone. You carry silence around you. That gave us safety. Daniel frowned. Felt it? What do you mean? Sela smiled softly. We sense emotions. Not perfectly, but enough. You were not dangerous. You were kind. The word stunned him. He had never thought of himself as kind, not really. Just an ordinary man, living an ordinary life. But to them, he was something different. Daniel shook his head, hiding his face in his hands. I can't believe this. 2 aliens in my house and you're calling me kind. Sella's voice was gentle. Believe it. It is true. But peace could not last forever. One afternoon, as Daniel returned from the grocery store, he noticed his neighbor, Mr. Harris, staring at his house. The old man's eyes narrowed suspiciously, as if trying to spot something unusual. Daniel forced a smile and greeted him quickly before hurrying inside. His heart sank. If anyone grew curious, if anyone looked too closely, Lyra and Sella would be discovered. That night, he warned them. You need to be careful. People are starting to notice things. We can't risk it. Lyra nodded. We will be careful, but danger is closer than you think. Her words sent a chill through him. The rain had stopped by morning, but Daniel's mind was still heavy with Lyra's words from the night before. Danger is closer than you think. He sat at the kitchen table, staring at his cup of coffee. Across from him, Sella was curiously turning a spoon in her hand, studying the way light bent across the metal. Lyra, as usual, stood near the window, her eyes scanning the outside world like a silent guard. Daniel finally spoke. If you think danger is coming, I need to know more. You can't just stay here and expect me to risk everything without answers. Lyra turned to him, her expression unreadable. What do you wish to know? Daniel leaned forward. Everything. Who's after you? Why? And what happens if they find you? Sella's glowing eyes softened. We are not criminals, Daniel. We are explorers. Our people search for knowledge. But we carry technology others want to take. If they capture us, they will use it for war. Daniel frowned. Others? You mean humans? Lyra shook her head. Not only humans. There are different factions, even beyond this world. But on Earth, if your governments discover us, they will not treat us as friends. They will fear us. They will want to control us. Daniel rubbed his face with both hands. The idea of secret factions beyond Earth felt impossible, yet looking at them, he couldn't deny it. So you're saying if someone finds out about you, it's not just bad for you. It could be bad for everyone. Exactly, Lyra said, firmly. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Daniel sighed. Fine, I won't tell anyone. But if I'm helping you, you have to trust me too. Sella leaned forward, her voice gentle. We already do. That is why we are still here. The days that followed felt like living in 2 worlds at once. By day, Daniel went about his routine. Work, shopping, small talks with neighbors. By night, his home became a secret place of another reality, where 2 alien women lived quietly. Under his roof, they began teaching him small things, sharing knowledge carefully. Sella explained how their senses worked, how she could hear faint changes in vibration, how she could feel emotions like warmth or sharpness in the air. Lyra showed him a small, crystal-like device that glowed faint blue. It stores energy, she explained. More than any of your machines. We use it to repair small systems. Daniel stared at it in awe. This could power half the city. Lyra closed her hand around it, which is why it must never be seen. Daniel understood. He felt the weight of responsibility settling on him. One evening, while Daniel prepared dinner, Sella sat across from him with her usual curiosity. You live alone, she said softly. Daniel nodded, stirring the pot on the stove. Yeah, been that way for a while. Why? The question was simple, but it cut deeper than he expected. He paused, then shrugged. I guess I got used to it. People come and go. It's easier not to depend on anyone. Sella tilted her head, her glowing eyes calm. But you help us. You let us stay. That is not the choice of someone who wants to be alone. Daniel gave a small laugh. Maybe I'm just crazy. No, Selah said firmly. You are kind. Her words made him fall silent. He turned back to the stove, hiding the faint smile that crept to his lips. Later that night, Daniel found Lyra in the living room, examining a small, broken piece of metal, part of their vessel. She looked up as he entered. Is that from your ship? He asked. She nodded. Yes, it needs repair. We must connect it to the core again. Without it, we cannot leave. Daniel sat on the couch across from her. What if I help? I may not understand your tech, but I can fetch tools, parts, whatever you need. Lyra studied him for a moment. Why would you risk this? Daniel thought carefully. Because if you're right, and danger is coming, I'd rather be part of the solution than sit around waiting for trouble. For the first time, Lyra's face softened. Then we accept your help. The next days became busier. At night, Daniel secretly drove them to the wooded area outside town where their hidden ship rested. The vessel was half buried under branches and leaves, carefully disguised. Even though it was damaged, it looked like something from a dream. Smooth metal curves, faint lights pulsing under the surface, a structure that seemed alive. Daniel felt small standing near it. This is amazing. Selah smiled faintly. To us, it is only a vessel, but it is home. They worked together, though Daniel mostly carried tools and followed instructions. He admired their precision, the way Lyra's hands moved, quickly and confidently, the way Selah adjusted glowing panels with gentle care. He couldn't understand the science, but he could feel the weight of the task. And for the first time in years, Daniel felt useful. But not everything went smoothly. One evening, as they returned from the ship, Daniel noticed movement near his driveway. A flashlight beam cut across the bushes. He froze. It was his neighbor, Mr. Harris, again. The old man turned sharply as if he had heard them, though Daniel quickly ushered the women inside before they were seen. His chest tightened. Harris had been watching too closely. Inside, Lyra spoke in a low voice. He suspects. Daniel paced the floor. Yeah, he's nosy, but he's harmless. Usually. If he thinks something strange is going on, he might tell others. Selah looked worried. What will you do? Daniel pressed his fist against the table, thinking hard. I'll handle him. Somehow. That night, Daniel barely slept. He thought of Harris, of what might happen if the wrong people started asking questions. His house was no longer just his. It had become a safe haven for beings from another world. And protecting them meant protecting something bigger than himself. The next morning, he tried to act normal, greeting Harris with a casual wave. But Harris squinted, his eyes sharp. Strange lights at your place last night, he muttered. You up to something, Daniel? Daniel forced a laugh. You know me. Probably just me messing with the old generator. Power keeps flickering. Harris grunted, not convinced, but walked away. Daniel let out a long breath. He knew it was only a matter of time before suspicion grew. That evening, the three of them sat together in the living room. The lamp cast a warm glow, and for a rare moment the tension lifted. Selah asked, On your world, what do humans value most? Daniel thought about it. Depends on the person. Some want money. Some want power. Some just want family. He looked at them. Me? I guess I want purpose, a reason to wake up every morning. Lyra's gaze softened. Then perhaps you have found it. Helping us is not small. It may change much. Daniel chuckled quietly. You make it sound heroic. I'm just trying to keep you safe. Selah's voice was gentle. That is what makes it heroic. For the first time since discovering them, Daniel felt the fear inside him ease. These women, these strangers from another world, trusted him. And in return, he was starting to trust them. He looked at them both, realizing something he hadn't expected. His empty house no longer felt empty. But outside, danger continued to grow. And soon, someone would come looking. The wind howled outside Daniel's house, rattling the windows. Inside, the warm glow of the living room lights barely kept the shadows at bay. Daniel, Lyra, and Sela sat together, the weight of recent events pressing on them. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. Something is coming, I can feel it. I saw Harris again today. He's not just curious anymore, he's suspicious. I think he might follow us next time we go to the ship. Lyra stood, moving silently to the window. Her glowing eyes scanned the street. Suspicion is dangerous. Humans are clever, but fear makes them unpredictable. If they discover us, it could end badly. Sela shivered slightly, though Daniel could see her attempt to stay composed. What do we do? She asked softly. Daniel took a deep breath. We hide. We need to make sure our movements leave no trace. And we need to be smart about every step we take. If anyone sees the ship or the three of us, we're exposed. Lyra nodded. We agree. But hiding is temporary. Our goal must be to leave this world safely. Every day here increases risk. Daniel's stomach tightened. Leaving his house meant risking the alien's safety, and yet staying meant more eyes, more questions, more danger. That night, Daniel made a plan. He went to the kitchen and spread a map of the surrounding area across the table. We'll go to the ship only at night, he whispered, pointing to a route through the woods. The trees block most of the view from the road and no one walks here after dark. Lyra and Sela nodded, studying the map carefully. We can move silently, Lyra said, but human senses are different. You must guide us. Daniel swallowed. All right, I'll lead, but you have to trust me completely. They both looked at him, and Daniel realized how much they relied on him now, not just for shelter, but for protection, for judgment, for hope. The first night of their new plan was tense. Daniel carried a flashlight, but he dimmed it so the beam barely showed. Lyra and Sela followed close behind, moving like shadows. The cool night air whispered through the trees as they walked silently toward the hidden ship. Daniel's pulse pounded. Every crack of a branch, every rustle of leaves made him tense. He had never been this alert, never felt so responsible. When they reached the vessel, it was partially visible under the branches and leaves. Daniel exhaled quietly. They had made it safely. Now, Lyra said, pointing to the ship's hull, we repair what we can tonight. Every moment counts. They worked quickly, passing tools and connecting glowing panels. Daniel held parts, adjusted small components, and followed instructions exactly. Though he could not understand the science, he felt proud. He was part of something far bigger than himself. Hours passed. The moon moved across the sky, casting silver light through the trees. Daniel glanced up, and suddenly, movement caught his eye. A flashlight beam appeared on the dirt. Path not far away, he froze. Someone was coming. Quick, he whispered to Lyra and Sela. Hide. They darted behind a cluster of branches, nearly invisible in the shadows. Daniel crouched low, holding his breath. The beam moved closer. A man stepped onto the path. It was Harris. He was carrying a flashlight and muttering to himself. I know something is here. I just need to find it. Daniel's heart raced. He knew he had only moments. He grabbed a large branch and threw it near a pile of leaves far from their hiding spot. It cracked loudly, drawing Harris's attention. Harris turned, pointing the flashlight at the noise. What was that? The man walked toward the sound, investigating while Daniel held his breath. After a tense minute, Harris muttered, Nothing, just animals. He shook his head and returned to his path, disappearing into the darkness. Daniel exhaled slowly, relief washing over him. Lyra and Sela emerged from hiding. You were brave, Lyra whispered, her glowing eyes watching him. I didn't have a choice, Daniel said quietly. I couldn't let him see you. Sela smiled faintly. You protect us even though you could have run. That is rare, Daniel. Humans often fear what they cannot understand. Daniel looked at them, realizing something profound. They had risked revealing themselves, trusting him completely. and he had kept that trust. The following days were tense. Daniel made small changes at home. He covered windows, avoided leaving evidence of strange activity, and carefully monitored the street. He even started planting small signs for Harris, placing harmless objects outside to make him think nothing unusual was happening. Meanwhile, Lyra and Sela worked tirelessly on their ship. Daniel helped as much as he could, running errands, carrying tools, and learning small things about the aliens' technology. He could not repair the ship himself, but he began to understand the logic behind their actions. One evening, as Daniel was passing parts to Sela, she asked, "Daniel, why do humans hide things so often?" Daniel paused, thinking. "Sometimes we hide to protect ourselves or others. Sometimes we hide because we're afraid of what people will think." Sela's eyes glowed softly. "It is similar to us. But you're kind. You are brave. Brave in ways your world often forgets." Daniel felt a warm sense of pride. Perhaps humans were not as ordinary as he had always believed. Perhaps there was something special in their courage, in their loyalty. But the sense of safety was short-lived. Late one night, Daniel noticed a car parked across the street. He could barely make out the shape, but two figures stepped out, moving slowly toward his house. His heart raced. "They found us," he whispered. To Lyra and Sela, Lyra's expression hardened. "We must be ready. Tonight we either hide or risk exposure." Daniel quickly guided them through a secret path behind the house, leading to a small shed he rarely used. They crouched there, holding their breath as the figures approached. It was Harris again, accompanied by a stranger this time. They were looking closer, inspecting the house, shining flashlights into windows. Daniel's mind raced. "We cannot stay here much longer," he muttered. "They will discover the ship soon if this continues." Sela's voice was calm but urgent. "We may have to leave, even if it is not ready." Daniel shook his head. "Not yet. We can't risk leaving the ship without repairing it. It might fail, and then we're trapped." Lyra touched his arm lightly. "You have done well to keep us safe so far, but soon you will need to make a choice." Daniel knew she was right. The longer they stayed, the greater the risk. And yet, leaving felt impossible. He had grown attached to them. He could not imagine losing them or letting anyone harm them. The night passed with tension thicker than the dark outside. When the figures finally left, Daniel exhaled slowly. He realized that hiding alone was not enough. He would need to act, to think ahead, and to make plans that no human would ever imagine. Over the next week, he worked even harder, helping Lyra and Sela repair the ship while keeping up the illusion that everything was normal at home. The task was exhausting, but every success brought small hope. Every repaired panel, every glowing connection, was a step closer to freedom. And slowly, Daniel began to understand something deeper. Humans were not just ordinary beings. Their courage, their loyalty, their ability to act in the face of fear, it was extraordinary. He felt it in himself now, in the protection of these strangers, in the quiet strength that kept them all alive. As Part 4 ended, the night sky stretched above them, calm yet filled with silent tension. The ship glowed faintly in the shadows of the trees, the aliens' home slowly coming back to life. Daniel stood beside them, knowing that soon they would face the greatest danger yet. But he also knew this: together, they could survive anything, and, perhaps in his courage, the aliens had found not only safety but a reason to believe in humans too. The night was still, almost unnaturally quiet. Daniel stood near the back door listening. The distant hum of the hidden ship pulsed faintly through the trees, a gentle reminder that Lyra and Sela's home was nearly ready for departure. But danger was close. Daniel could sense it in the way the wind shifted, in the faint glow of the moon on the quiet street. Harris had grown suspicious, and Daniel knew it was only a matter of time before someone else might come looking. He turned to Lyra and Sela. "Tonight, is it? We finish the repairs and then you can leave. Are you ready?" Sela nodded, her glowing eyes calm but filled with determination. "We are ready. But what about you?" Daniel hesitated. I'll stay behind. Someone has to protect the house just in case." Lyra stepped closer, her hand brushing his arm. "You have done more than protect a house. You have protected us. You have risked your life. That is why we offer you a choice." Daniel looked at her. "A choice?" "Yes," Lyra said. "You can come with us. Leave this world. Travel among the stars. See what we have seen. Or you can stay. Continue your life here. But you must decide soon because once we leave, the ship cannot wait." Daniel's heart pounded. Leave Earth? Leave everything he knew? Yet the thought of traveling with them, seeing other worlds, learning things humans could only dream of, it was tempting. He looked at Sela, who smiled faintly. "We will not force you. You must choose." Daniel nodded slowly. "Give me a few minutes." He stepped outside, the cool night air brushing his face. He looked at his house, the place he had lived in all his life. He thought of the quiet nights, the ordinary days, the friends he had, and the life he knew. But then he thought of the aliens, the trust they had shown him, the courage they inspired in him. He realized something. Humans were capable of extraordinary things: courage, loyalty, kindness. They were not just words, but actions. And tonight, those actions could carry him across the stars. Daniel took a deep breath. He turned back to the ship, to Lyra and Sela. "I'll go with you." The aliens' faces lit up. Sela's eyes glowed brighter, reflecting her joy. Lyra's expression softened, almost like relief. "Then we leave together," Lyra said. They worked quickly. Daniel passed tools, helped connect panels, and followed every instruction carefully. The ship's hull shimmered under the moonlight, repairing itself with glowing blue energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. As the final piece clicked into place, a soft hum filled the night. The vessel glowed brighter, lifting slightly from the ground. Daniel stared in awe. The ship was alive, ready to travel. "Now," Lyra said, "we go." Inside the vessel, Daniel marveled at the technology around him. Smooth surfaces, glowing panels, and soft lights guided the interior. Lyra and Sela explained the basics, though much of it was beyond his understanding. "This will take you safely through space," Sela said, her voice calm and soothing. "Hold on and trust us." Daniel nodded, gripping a handle as the ship hummed louder. The ground below seemed to disappear as the vessel rose into the sky. Trees, houses, and streets shrank beneath them, leaving the world behind. For the first time, Daniel felt the true vastness of the universe. Stars stretched across the sky, brighter than he had ever seen, and distant planets glimmered like jewels. His fear was gone, replaced by awe. "This is amazing," Daniel whispered. Lyra smiled faintly. "And this is only the beginning." As they traveled, Sela pointed out distant galaxies and glowing nebulae. "Each star has a story," she said. "Some have life, some are quiet, and some are dangerous. But every world is connected by the same energy that flows through all beings." Daniel listened, absorbing everything. He realized that humans, with their courage and curiosity, could reach this same greatness. They could explore, learn, and protect, just as he had tonight. He thought of his home, his friends, and his ordinary life. And yet, he understood that humans could be extraordinary when they acted with purpose. The trust, bravery, and kindness he had shown to Lyra and Sela were what had saved them. Hours passed as the ship glided through space. Daniel watched as planets and stars moved past like a river of light. Lyra guided the vessel with precise movements, while Sela monitored glowing screens that seemed to respond to her thoughts. "You humans are interesting," Lyra said softly. "Despite your fragility, your courage is remarkable. You risked yourself for us even when nothing in your world demanded it." Daniel felt a warm pride. "Maybe that's what makes humans, he replied. "We fight for what we believe is right, even when it's dangerous." Sela smiled. Exactly, and that is why we trusted you. Daniel thought about their journey, about the night he first found them in his house. Fear had filled him then, but trust and courage had grown. He had faced danger, made decisions, and acted with heart. And now he was among the stars, realizing what humans could truly achieve. Suddenly, a bright light appeared ahead, a massive planet with glowing cities visible from space. Lyra adjusted the ship's trajectory. This is where we are headed. It is safe here. We can rest, repair fully, and plan the next steps. Daniel stared in awe. The cities glowed with blue and gold, floating towers that seemed to touch the clouds and energy streams flowing like rivers. It's incredible, he whispered. Sela's eyes reflected the light. Welcome to the world beyond your own. Here, knowledge and exploration guide every being, and now, you are part of it. Daniel took a deep breath. He realized that the choice he had made, to trust, to act with courage, to leave his world, had opened the door to something unimaginable. Humanity, he thought, could be just as remarkable as anything he saw around him. The ship landed softly on a glowing platform, and Daniel stepped out, marveling at the alien architecture and the energy that filled the air. Lyra and Sela led him through the city, pointing out structures, devices, and beings unlike anything he had seen. This world thrives because its people work together, with courage and respect, Lyra explained. It is what we hope humans will also learn, that strength comes not from power but from purpose, loyalty, and kindness. Daniel nodded. I understand. I think humans can do that. We just need to believe in it. Sela placed a gentle hand on his arm. And you, Daniel, showed us that it is possible. One human can make a difference. Daniel felt a warmth in his chest. He had started with fear, doubt, and loneliness. Now he was surrounded by wonders, trust, and new purpose. He realized that humans, even ordinary humans, could achieve greatness when they acted with courage and heart. As night fell on the alien city, Daniel looked up at the stars. He thought of Earth, of his house and the journey that had brought him here, and he understood something essential. Humans were extraordinary, not because of their technology or power, but because of their bravery, loyalty, and willingness to act for what is right. Lyra and Sela stood beside him, silent but smiling. Daniel realized that this adventure was only the beginning, for him and for the human potential he now believed in. He smiled. Thank you, he whispered. Not just to them, but to the universe, to his own courage, and to humanity. And as the city lights reflected in his eyes, Daniel knew that he had found something far greater than any adventure: trust, friendship, and the proof that humans could rise to greatness.